I think a heck of a lot of Peyton Manning. I think so much of Peyton Manning as a player that sometimes maybe I devalue his teammates, which may not be the right thing to do. But I think he is just a guy who brings the best out of his teammates, both from the neck up and neck down. So I will be honest, when I see that Peyton Manning, Joey Kent was named one of the top 15 duos of all time by 247, which they were, and I want to go through the list, it makes me think that's more Peyton Manning than it is Joey Kent, than it even is David Cutcliffe, the offensive coordinator at the time, or Philip Fulmer. It feels like a Peyton Manning designation. Am I wrong, Caleb?
You are not. And for those who don't know, 247 Sports ranks the top 50 quarterback wide receiver, or the top 50 duos, period. Not quarterback wide receiver, just duos in general. So like Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown were near the top, things like that. The Peyton Manning Joey Kent combo came in at number 13.
And I want to be real clear. I feel like you and Peyton could have finished top 100 of all time.
Yeah, I gotta be. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not, because Joey Kent was such a loyal Vol, such a good guy, just a great attitude guy. But like, that was Peyton Manning. And guys, my evidence for this, and I know people love Joey Kent because he worked hard, he did everything right. He's the all-time leading receiver by a long shot, by the way. He's the only two-time 1,000-yard receiver in Tennessee history, and he did it in back-to-back years. Guys, Joey Kent had 1,055 yards in 95. He had 1,080 yards in 96. He's gone, Peyton Manning senior year. Peyton Manning's go-to guy, this amazing duo. He is gone. Marcus Nash steps in. He becomes the all-time leading receiver in Tennessee football history. So
now they do headline it as playmaking duo. So I can kind of go with that because you can quantify that with yardage. But as far as impact on the game, it was Peyton / somebody else. And in this particular case, it happened to be Joey Kent. And again, I'm not being mean to Joey either, but that's just a fact. How many receivers could have stepped in there and done something very similar over the years that's been at Tennessee? I mean, Cordell Patterson was asked to do something totally different. Are you telling me physically he couldn't have done something very similar? I think he probably could have. I don't know if he could have handled the offense. But TriStar hats, for the latest in TriStar hats, go to the original hats, apparel, and more. Go to TristarHatsCo.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for your discount. TristarHatsCo.com. We greatly appreciate that. Now, do you want to take a look at the rest of the list from, let's just go top. Where does Peyton rank? Peyton ranks at Peyton and 13. Joey rank at 13. So let's
go up from there.
Yeah, okay, let's go up from there. Who you think are more impressive combos than Peyton and Kent? Now, they've got Morris Claiborne, who played cornerback, and Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger for LSU. I'm going to take the offensive guys. You?
I'm just going to take Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Peyton Manning over those two because it's Peyton Manning, but like.
Agreed.
I mean,
what about Derek Thomas and Cornelius Bennett, though, at linebacker, Alabama in the early 90s?
Yeah, that was only. I thought that was the 80s, wasn't it?
Cornelius Bennett won the Alabama. They won the national title in 92.
Okay. I can't say because I didn't watch him play. I got to be honest. It's hard with defensive. It's hard with defensive players because that's more of an eye test thing than it is like numbers. So I can't really go there. The next one though is another.
No offense against Peyton, but I would absolutely have to take Bennett and Derek Thomas because I think they were the two best linebackers of their generation, and I think they were scary edge rusher type of linebackers. All right, who's next? Let's run through these.
The next one is the reverse of Peyton and Kent to me, which is Devontae Smith and Mac Jones. That was 100,000% Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not including Mac Jones in a conversation with Peyton Manning. That's all I've got on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Devontae Smith, he won the Heisman. He won the Heisman in 2020. And Dane, did you even question the fact that he deserved the Heisman that year as a receiver?
No. And I talked to scouts, and to vote for anybody else, they said
that's crazy.
And
you suck. Yeah, jackass.
So I didn't, and I voted for him.
So Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Again, that seems just Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And Clemson.
I mean, they had a great run. I mean, that's to me that is much more Trevor Lawrence.
Now, this is the most legitimate duo, and the fact that they're down at number 8 is absolutely egregious because I think they maybe should be number 1, Dave. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That was a legitimate receiver-quarterback duo.
Funny you say that. I hate that we agree on every little single thing, but I would actually have them number 1 based off the rest of the list. Number 7 is Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. Well, the problem is they didn't play both those guys at the same time, and Thurman got the hell out of Dodge because he knew Barry Sanders was better. So one played at a time. They had a year overlap where they were both productive. But the simple fact is Jimmy Johnson believes, and you saw this, he was their head coach at the time. You saw this in the NFL. He believed in feeding one tailback. Who was the back? Let me ask you this. Who was the backup running back to Emmitt Smith?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Right. At one point, it was a guy named, I think it was Curvin Richards, who played at Alabama. He fumbled twice in the final game, and they cut him before the playoffs. He got his playoff check, but he didn't get to play in the Super Bowl. So the backup running back did not matter at Dallas, and I don't think he played a lot there at Oklahoma State. Now, here's the good one, but it's way more Randy Moss. Chad Pennington, Randy Moss was a scary matchup that could explode for 80 at any point. It was definitely more Randy. Chad's a friend of mine, so don't let me be biased, but it was more Randy, but that was a pretty scary matchup.
I mean, as a duo, I'm taking that over Peyton Manning and Joey Kent.
Okay.
I am. Again, the quarterback's more valuable, so I'm taking Peyton Manning over Chad Pennington. But Chad Pennington was an NFL caliber quarterback. And if he didn't have the arm injuries, I mean, we're talking a potential. I mean, if Chad Pennington stayed healthy, Dave, could we be talking about maybe a cusp Hall of Fame career? Like an Eli Manning style career, maybe?
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he win comeback player of the year twice?
Yes, he did. That's what I said if he stayed healthy.
Yeah, that to
and
me
Randy Moss, and you guys can hate me on this all day. You can take your Jerry Rice and stick it. If you give me a receiver that I have to start my team with, I'm taking Randy Moss every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I would take Randy Moss in his prime over any receiver in the history of wide receivers in football.
I'm going to stick it with the Jerry Rice then. All right, so who's up next? Because my computer is having all kinds of issues.
All right, I'll just – 2 running back duos in the SEC that both belonged as running back duos. One, Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams. Dave, that's fair. Remember how they were at Auburn that last year?
And they did a much better job of utilizing them both than earlier when we talked about, which is going, I know, before your time a little bit. They did a better job of utilizing both than Jimmy Johnson did at Oklahoma State with Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. So I'm with you on that one.
And then the one who did the best job of utilizing a 2 running back combo, Houston Nutt, when he had Felix Jones and Darren McFadden. And my hot take in 2007 was Darren McFadden should have won the Heisman over Tim Tebow that year.
My hot take is this. Houston Nutt, that season was his Mona Lisa. That if he has anything, some people like memorabilia of their career, some people don't. But if he has anything hanging up, it should be of that team because I think he got the most out of that team possible. And who's next, Caleb?
Next, number 3, I think it's one-sided again. Pat White and Steve Slayton. That was all Pat White. We learned that was all Pat White after Pat White got hurt and left for the pros. Steve Slayton was just a cog in the system at running back. Number 2, this is an interesting one. It's not a top duo to me though, but Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin. They just strike me as 2 elite offensive players, not necessarily a duo.
See, I think a duo would be better with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak when they won it, and they'd bring Tebow in short yardage situations. To me, that was a better duo. I like the way they handled that. Percy Harvin was going to be good if you were playing quarterback.
I thought so too. And then number 1, again, Percy. This guy would have been good if I was playing quarterback. Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush. That's just a quarterback running back backfield at that point. And
I thought they did a good job of handling them. Maybe we disagree. I think they're
as a teammate. Reggie Bush did that great push. Oh my gosh, the USC Love Fest during that time when they were like, "Oh my God, the push Reggie Bush gave Matt Leinart."
Let me ask you this: who would you take number 1 out of that group that we just mentioned?
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Not even a
Yeah,
question. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is the greatest duo in the history of duos. And you know who should have been on there higher? Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans. That was a duo in Texas A&M. And it wasn't just Johnny Manziel. Mike Evans was valuable too. I want to go back to the Peyton Manning point real quick because we have to bring this stat up with Peyton Manning and Joey Kent because we talked about it. By the way, during that time, 95 when Joey Kent goes 1,000, that's the all-time most receiving yards in a single season. He breaks his own record in 96. I just told you he leaves. Marcus Nash breaks that record in 97. Peerless Price becomes the number one receiver in 98 with T. Martin throwing him the ball. Dave, it was because it was his turn. If Peerless Price had been able to be the number one receiver in 97 with Peyton Manning, he'd have 1,500 receiving yards. Because tell me if I'm crazy on this. I think Price was significantly better than Joey Kent or Marcus Nash. Like on a different strategy.
Price?
Yes. I think Peerless Price was significantly better than Kent or Nash.
Yeah. Yes. I thought I didn't know you were going to be as obvious in your statement.
A lot of receivers.
I was preparing myself for something else. If Peerless Price and Peyton Manning come in the same year,
94.
Okay, if they come in the same year, then they're top 5 on this list. Easy. And Travis, I disagree with you when you say Joey Kent was the most clutch receiver Tennessee ever had. No, Peerless Price was the most clutch receiver Tennessee ever had. Look at every single touchdown he scored in 98. Every single one changed the game against a ranked team almost. Peerless Price had a touchdown. I would take Peerless too, Travis. No offense, but I'll tell you, most clutch receiver. Now this is going way back. I bet you don't remember this name, Craig Faulkner.
Oh my gosh, I know Craig Faulkner.
He was a little Peerless. Well, the thing about Craig is he didn't have nearly the impact on the overall game, but it seemed like when he did actually catch a pass, kind of like Bobby Graham in that one against Memphis, that it was very, very important.
But that was every one of Peerless Price's touchdowns in 98. Every single one of them was those.
I'm not debating Craig Faulkner, Peerless Price. He was a guy that seems like he only caught it when the game was on the line. And maybe that's just me remembering it as a teenager.